Welcome back to Picture Breakdown. Spoiler warning for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episodes 1 and 2. So if you haven't seen them, go and check them out on Disney+. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any weekly uploads. Alright, so we start out with the new Captain America, John Walker, in his old locker room from high school. And he tears off a name tag to reveal JW for his initials John Walker. And his partner, Lamar Hoskins, comes in. And later in the episode, he reveals his name to be Battlestar. Battlestar is actually a friend of John Walker's in the comics. He actually got superhuman abilities, endurance, strength, etc. with John Walker through the Power Broker, who we later hear about in this episode. Lamar Hoskins was a part of the Bold Urban Commandos, or the Buckies, they called themselves. And they worked for John Walker. They were a big part in framing Captain America by staging attacks on John Walker. Later in the comics, Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar, becomes a sort of sidekick to John Walker. Hoskins then tells Walker that he can't just punch his way out of this one.
You can't just punch your way into problems anymore.
Which really parallels Black Widow saying this to Cap.
You know what's about to happen. Do you really want to punch your way out of this one?
The cameras and TV screens then say, "Good Morning America" on ABC, which Disney is allowed to do because Disney owns ABC. And they also say Custer's Grove High School. And Custer's Grove is actually a real place in the comics that had connections to John Walker. Walker is kind of portrayed as a good, honest guy at the start of this right now. And Torres goes over to Sam and says that he looks like a good guy, which is what we're meant to feel like at this time in the episode. But as you later go through the episode, you can see as Walker gets worse and worse and worse and more like a villain throughout this episode.
Stay the hell out of my way.
Then while Bucky and Sam are in the plane on their way, we see Sam blinking, then leaning forward, and then Bucky just not blinking, which is the start of the reoccurring joke about Bucky staring all the time. Sam then asks him if he's the White Panther now, because Bucky's so stealthy.
Little time in Wakanda and you come out White Panther. It's actually White Wolf.
But then Bucky says that he's the White Wolf, which, remember, he was given the name White Wolf in the Black Panther post-credit scene in Wakanda.
Then what of this one?
This one may be tired of war, but the White Wolf has rested long enough.
Sam and Bucky are fighting the Flag Smashers on a truck, while all of a sudden, John Walker and Hoskins show up, and during the fight, Walker shoots one of the Flag Smashers with his gun. This is completely against what Rogers stood for, not killing people as echoed in Civil War.
Fuck, stop! You're gonna kill someone!
Bucky tells John Walker that he's not Captain America just because he has Cap's shield.
Just because you carry that shield, it doesn't mean you're Captain America.
And Walker says that he put in the work to do it, but Bucky counters with, "Have you ever jumped on top of a grenade?" Which is a reference to Skinny Steve jumping on top of a grenade at Camp Lehigh to try to save the other people around him.
Grenade! Get away! Get back!
Sam asks them how they are able to track the Flag Smashers. But Hoskins says that they tracked Sam and Bucky through Red Wing, Sam's drone, which says that whenever the US were working on Red Wing, they were actually tampering with it. When the Flag Smashers get to the safe house, along the walls there's a bunch of posters saying "Wir kaufen alte Autos," which translates from German to English, "We buy old cars." So the place they're staying at could be some kind of business that buys old cars for parts. The leader, Carly, gets a message from an unknown number saying, "You took what was mine, and I'm gonna find you and kill you." We later find out this is most likely from the power broker who they stole from, but more about him later. They look on the computer and it says Carly Morgenthau, which is the leader's name. And this is a reference to the Captain America villain Carl Morgenthau, Flag Smasher, who the group is based on. We then see Sam and Bucky back on the plane, and Bucky suggests that they just steal the shield back. But Sam reminds him of what happened last time they stole the shield. This is a reference to Civil War, in which they were fugitives for not signing the Sokovia Accords, and their weapons were confiscated. But Sharon Carter stole the shield back for them.
Sure you understand the concept of a getaway car.
Slow profile.
Good, because this stuff tends to draw a crowd.
I owe you again.
Keep it a list.
Bucky then takes Sam to meet with Isaiah, who we find out is a super soldier. This is Isaiah Bradley, and in the comics, he becomes a super soldier after Dr. Erskine dies, along with the ability to make super soldiers, but the US government was determined to make more. The government forcibly recruited Isaiah and 300 other African American soldiers to be their subjects in their attempts to recreate the super soldier serum. Out of all the 300 African Americans, only a few survived. These became the covert Black Ops team. In the comics, Isaiah went to Germany with Cap's shield and costume, and this resulted in him getting put in prison for 17 years. But this one says that he was in prison for 30 years and tested on that entire time.
You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years.
The boy who gets the door is credited as Elijah Bradley, who in the comics is the grandson of Isaiah Bradley. Elijah Bradley is one of the young Avengers and is called Patriot, but since he did not inherit his grandfather's abilities, he used a mutant growth hormone pills that gave him enhancements. This is a clear setup for the future Young Avengers team-up. Within the MCU, we already have Cassie Lang, who becomes Stature, and Tommy and Billy, who are Wiccan and Speed. The ones showing up in later titles are Kate Bishop becoming the new Hawkeye, Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel, and Riri Williams as Ironheart. After the little couples therapy with Sam and Bucky, the Flag Smashers are escaping by plane when one says that they are being hunted down by the Power Broker. Carl Malus, who goes by the name Power Broker in the comics, is a businessman who gives superhuman abilities to people in exchange for money. Many customers become deformed or die. In the comics, John Walker and Battlestar are given augmented strength by the Power Broker. The Flag Smashers get away, and we find Sam and Bucky deciding that they're going to see Zemo because he knows all there is to know about Hydra. Remember, back in Civil War, he had to surf through all of Hydra's files to get what he wanted.
How did you find me? When S.H.I.E.L.D. fell, Black Widow released Hydra files to the public. Millions of pages, much of it encrypted, not easy to decipher, but I have experience.
As we zoom towards Zemo's cell, we cut to chessboard, right before cutting to Zemo, maybe suggesting that just as he played the Avengers during Civil War like chess pieces, he's going to do the same thing to everyone else in this series as well. So apparently, my last theory that the Flag Smashers were super soldiers was right, and I'm going to be pitching you another theory for this week. I believe that since the identity of this Power Broker is being kept in the dark, he's going to be revealed to be someone that we already know of. Back in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we found out that Arnim Zola, the Hydra scientist, stayed alive through the use of technology.
Look around you. I have never been more alive. In 1972, I received a terminal diagnosis. Science could not save my body. My mind, however, that was worth saving.
He was smart enough to load his entire consciousness into a computer, so it's not too much of a stretch that he would have multiple downloads of his brain in case of an accident. My theory, as you might have guessed by now, is that the Power Broker is none other than Arnim Zola. For one, this show seems to be going down the path of Hydra, with Zemo helping Sam and Bucky, and Zola is the only person smart enough to pull off the task of creating super soldiers that we know of. My thoughts on this episode have been a little bit mixed. At the start, I was a little bit disappointed that this didn't have as much action as the first episode. But then as I kept on rewatching it and got more into detail of this episode, I realized how much this episode actually brought to the table. This episode confirms 4 different characters, including that of Battlestar, Isaiah Bradley, Elijah Bradley, and the Power Broker. This episode really showed us the relationship between Bucky and Sam. I think this line from Bucky really sums that up. Steve believed in you. He trusted you. He gave you that shield for a reason. That shield, that is everything that he stood for. That is his legacy. He gave you that shield and you threw it away like it was nothing. So maybe he was wrong about you. And if he was wrong about you, then he was wrong about me. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And a quick reminder, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and smash that like button. If you have any questions, make sure you put them down in the comments. Or if not, tell me who you think the Power Broker is going to be revealed to be. Or do you think he's just going to be someone we've never met before? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next breakdown.